It now being 7:02, the regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Orleans is called to order. I am Michael P. Mardick. I'm the chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. With me tonight are regular members Beth McCartney, Ralph Soderstrom, Matthew Cole, William McCarthy, and associate members Gerald Mulligan and Bruce Taub. Excused is Peter Jablon, who was present at the last meeting. Also present are Sandy Stewart, the board secretary, recording secretary, and Brian Harrison, the building commissioner of the town of Orleans. There's one item on tonight's agenda, and only one item, and that is the continued application and hearing of Joseph McHugh's application for a special permit as set forth in General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9, and also under Orleans zoning bylaw, Section 164-21A, Note 5, to construct a single-family residential dwelling where the proposed building coverage exceeds 4,000 square feet. The property is located at 338 Tonsett Road, Orleans map number 5, parcel number 52. Practice is we have a quorum of 5 members who are entitled to vote. Our practice here is to designate those members who will be voting, but all members will participate in the consideration and in questioning at the hearing. We have, let the record reflect that the board has received a letter from Robert J. Freeman, professional land surveyor, on the letterhead of Schofield Brothers of Cape Cod, dated May 4th, 2015, addressing itself to the question of the lot frontage and including certain plans, land court plans. Also, has been submitted a site plan of land in Orleans, Massachusetts, with prepared for Joseph McHugh. This dated May 5th, 2015, including certain landscaping, a legend including some of the landscaping. Then we shall continue to hear from the applicant.
Yes, it's Charles Spiegel again,
Yes,
addressing the board and the audience. I just wanted to address the revised site plan and show that we put the data that you requested with the size of the building, the setbacks to the side yards, etc., and tried to show some landscaping and screening that would help with the neighbors' you know, that there is going to be some screening, and that their objection to having the house built in their backyard. And I think that one thing that...
Sorry, but since you're talking with your back to us, could you speak up a bit?
Yeah, I'm trying to project as much as I can. So the one thing that I wanted to point out, though, I think the one thing that came up at the last meeting was the size of the proposed house. And I think that although the board, we would have to apply and address for anything over 5,000 square feet, we also look at the percentage of the coverage on the lot. And the percentage of this particular house on the lot is 5%. And I think one thing that came out in Ms. Terry's last presentation was that the size of her house and some of the other surrounding homes were somewhat smaller than that, although there are other homes that are much larger on Tonsett Road.
One.
No, there's numerous homes. And their percentage,
Any house that's over 4,000 square foot.
they're the percentage of the square footage, for instance, of your house on your lot is 4.9%. So you're right up there with Mr. McHugh. So if you take the percentage and the quality of life that this board is ruling on to make that quality of life, persist, then we have to take into account that all the factors involved, not just the size of the square footage. Well, that's too big a house. Well, it may not be right for you because it may be just right for what you want, but it's not right for what Mr. McHugh wants. So I think we have to address those things as, the rules imply. And so I know Bob Freeman has some additional data on there and information. I don't know if he needs to address that or if the information that he's provided you is adequate for that.
Are there any questions of any of the board members of the applicant?
Thanks, Bob.
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. This lot is a very large lot, and after you build whatever you build, will you have the ability to add another residence on this lot?
No.
No.
I don't believe so, no.
Restricted to one,
Thank you.
Did you say panhandle lots?
or restricted to one resident.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. McCarthy?
since I wasn't here at the last meeting, but just looking at the site plan, can I ask, the view easement as it's shown, is that a view easement that is to the benefit of the property or to abutters?
The abutters,
The
to the
abutters.
benefit of the Bush family to the southwest.
Since the line of the view easement seems to cross over where the house is contemplated, is that a, I don't, and if this was considered the last meeting, I apologize, but what is the, it seems to me that the house then is obstructing the view easement, am I correct? Or is the limit of the easement the line and not beyond it?
My name's Bob Freeman, they're Schofield Brothers. The view easement is that 90-foot swath to the benefit of the Bush family and allows them to keep the trees maintained at a certain height. At one point, they had a view from the house. I'm not sure they have one at all from there anymore. But it doesn't...
Doesn't it extend beyond that easement line?
It would just be limited to that small.
Okay, thank you.
Can you just clarify the plantings shown, are those existing, proposed, or both?
Proposed,
So all of these are proposed?
yes.
Was there going to be any planting on the 157-foot sideline there?
Which side?
That abuts Bessiac? But they're the ones that had the
The one
straight view.
facing the road?
Yeah,
There wasn't really any proposed at this point, no.
okay. Any reason why?
Primarily the distance between the homes was greater than the other homes that are on the surrounding side. There is existing vegetation there now, although it's not shown on this plan.
And that won't be disturbed?
No,
So would you say there's like a 30-foot buffer there?
I would say at least that, yes.
Okay.
Since the last hearing, has there been any communication with any of the neighbors?
Not that I'm aware of.
We haven't been able to see the plan either.
We haven't seen the plan, the new plan, corrections, and no,
Share
there's
my
been no
Sure,
contact.
I'll show mine.
Certainly share this with you if you'd like to see the site plan that we've been referring to. Thanks, Barbara.
Is there anyone else present wishing to speak in favor of the application? Let the record reflect that in opposition to the application, at the last hearing, Judith Whitney Terry submitted a letter, also spoke orally, and had a list, included a list of house areas, residential areas, and outbuilding areas for the properties which were within something like a 200-yard bulge. Is that about right, Ms. Terry? These properties that you listed,
These are all abutting properties.
they're within about 200 yards of the applicant's property.
Correct.
Now, when you have reviewed that, Ms. Terry, we'll hear from you.
So there's no change in the size of the house, is that correct?
That's correct.
The legend on that plan, Ms. Terry, indicates that the total building coverage is 4,555 square feet. On your list, you have anticipated that the total net area, including the outbuildings, of the applicant's project is 6,499. Did you want to correct that?
Those figures were taken directly off the original plans.
I understand. These plans, which the
Included
applicant,
the covered walkway, the garage, the second floor, the total was 66, you're talking about?
Were you
Yes.
counting first and second floor?
That's the total that they would have.
Right from there,
The total,
which is different than what.
okay, I see, yeah. I see. What you've done there, for the record, Mr. Cole has shown that the list, including the first and the second floor, then the livable area and the lot coverage of all buildings would be 6,499.
that's correct,
But
everything.
But the footprint itself of the buildings and outbuildings is
63.
4563, or 4555 tonight. And that's what the applicant proposes to build and abide by it with the supervision of the building commissioner, if the special permit's granted. Do you have any comment on the landscaping? That's something we didn't have last time. at hearing.
Well,
Will that mitigate some of your objection? I'm not saying eliminate it, I'm saying will it lessen it somehow?
my objection has been to the size of the house in comparison to the other houses in the neighborhood. And the last time, there's been several comments about the houses on Concert Road being massive. Well, I went down every single house from the Main Street house where the architect said it was the Main Street, the corner of Main Street, I think it's 94 Main Street. I only know it as Doreen's house, but anyway, it's, the net area there is 2631, and he said that the house would look similar to that. Well, how can a house at 43, whatever it is there, look
Because it
like
doesn't have any porches.
2631?
Right, that's about our footprint of the house. And then when you add the porches in,
I
they're
went
open
down
porches.
the largest house on Tonsett Road. The entire property, that it's 1 mile from the McHughes. It's on the, and the best it's on the, as you're coming towards town, it would be on the right-hand side. It's a fairly new house, and it was built, the footprint is 3168. So even that wasn't over 4,000. And so I went and I looked at the biggest house in the area, which happens to be you can't see it from the road, but it's 374 Tonsett Road. And even its footprint is 2,062 of the house. Yes, they have a lot of outbuildings. It's the O'Brien's house, and it sits down in the back. And even Steve Bordeaux's, which is the newest house way at the end of the point, and that area is 2669. So none of them.
This is the O'Brien's house? That's 5,038 square feet. That's O'Brien, right across the street from your house?
Does it say O'Brien at the top?
Yes, it does. 349 Townsend.
Right. And the total area for, I'm talking about the footprint. When I said the footprint of the main house,
On a 40,000 square foot lot, not a 90,000 square foot lot.
it's funny, it came up as 2,062.
2,062 square feet on a 40,000 square foot lot, yeah.
Anyway, it's my major objection is that no other house is going to be that big. It's going to just be overpowering to all the other houses. It's not even in keeping in style. It'd be lovely in Hingham, where there's lots of those suburban mansions, McMansions, but it just isn't. It isn't appropriate here.
And this
We're losing our
5,000 square
Orleans-
foot house is.
We're losing our Orleans flavor. Here's the one area of Orleans that still has the flavor of old Orleans. It has capes and farmhouses. And here we want to build a McMansion. And that's my objection.
Can I ask you, is it a visual impact or just the?
It'll be a visual impact also, of course.
Could I ask the?
Well, it only means something if it has a visual impact, Ms. Terry.
I'm sorry, sir?
It only means something if it has a visual impact.
Well, it'll have a visual
It doesn't-
impact.
it won't
It'll
affect-
have a
It won't
visual.
affect any taste in Old Orleans if it can't be seen from the road.
It can be seen from the road.
Okay.
You can already see the clearing up there. You can definitely see it from the road.
Could I then ask for the presenter in the presentation for the permit impact on neighborhood visual character? It notes buffered from other residences.
Well, the closest residence is the Terry residence, which is why we proposed the landscaping that.
That's not going to buffer it at all. That's going to buffer the backwoods there, my back lot, but it certainly isn't going to buffer from the house.
And it's approximately 350 feet or so from Tonsett Road, with another house in front of it, and then there's, as I had mentioned to Ms. McCarthy, about 30 feet of so far undisturbed woodland that we're not removing.
If you look at your map here, if you look at the map, here's the house that's going to be in front of it. Here's Tonsett Road. And you don't say that that's right straight, you can't see it, but you can see it. You can see the lot. And you're going to definitely see the barn, or whatever they call it, garage, barn. And you're going to definitely see that house from the road. I can't quite do this backwards, sorry.
Which way is Tonsett Road on your, is it where you're,
Tonsett Road right here.
Photoshop.
okay.
The house on,
This is Tonsett Road. And here is, I have to look at it again. Here is the Baziak's house, which is in front. And it's going to be a clear shot right up, straight up through, and you will see the house, and you definitely will see all of the garage. And you can also see it, of course, when you come down Tonsett Road. As you're driving down Tonsett Road, you can see it
right, you're right.
through the
340.
through the sides.
Oh, here.
I'm just looking for coverage.
The what?
It's 10%.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to the application?
I just have a
Yes, ma'am.
points I'd like to make. I'm Suzanne Bessiak. And I guess I just wanted to say that I sort of agree with Judith that it isn't so much that the street of Tonsett Road has big houses on it. It's from Freeman Lane on, it's a really different neighborhood than before that. And it does feel like old Cape Cod. Everybody comments on it when they come down there. And there are some bigger houses. But to have a property that you're going for quite a while and be planning to build a house, and for there to be certain regulations regarding it, I just don't see why it has to be, why it needs to be bigger than what it should ordinarily be allowed. That's one point. The other point is a short-term, more self-serving issue that I have. We've been renting a cottage on our property for the last 38 years. And I have contracts with 10 families coming in 10 weeks this summer. And I'm very concerned about what I'm going to do about that. I've got people that paid me and I have contracts, and for them to be arriving and have right in there, and I mean right there, a building field going on is a big concern. And I don't know if there's such a thing as postponing. I feel badly. It's, we don't get a lot of money for our cottage. It's a relatively inexpensive rental, except it's important to us. And I can't find something, I can't, just tell them they, can have their money back. That doesn't accomplish anything. I'm stuck with contracts and deposits, and I'm afraid I'm going to be in a bad way.
I appreciate that situation. Bear in mind that if the applicant hadn't added on 1,200 square feet of porches, those construction vehicles be going up that right away right now, because then they would be able to construct as a matter of right. So that's the difficulty.
Well, we also have that issue, the access of the going up and down that driveway, which happens to be our driveway. And as I mentioned before, we would certainly fighting off our nose to spite our face to do anything otherwise, except that, in fact, we are cooperating. Because that is our private property.
Very well. Are there any questions by any member of the board to those objectors to the petitioner?
Has construction started? Have they cleared trees, or?
Oh, the lot is, well, I assume it's been totally cleared for preparation.
So the vehicles are coming in your driveway now and
Oh,
clearing
no,
the
not
property?
now. This was done quite a while ago.
Oh, okay.
And,
So
that
no
aspect of it
construction's
is-
been done on your driveway?
No, pardon me?
Nothing, no current construction's going up and down your driveway?
No. No.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else want to be heard, either in favor or in opposition to this application? Yes, sir.
I'm Joseph McHugh. I'm the applicant.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The two things. The distance from the street is considerable, 350 feet, over a football field in length. And I think it's fair to say that you'll see parts of the house, but certainly not the entire house, nor the entire side of the barn either, based on the way they're situated on my property. Charles mentioned the buffer, but it's a long way from the street. And the house itself, and you so aptly put, the house is of a particular size. It's the coverage component from the garage to the house, and of course the large front porch. Take those away, if you will, and it's a house perhaps more in keeping with the abutter's wishes. But those, because of the way the rules exist, the coverage has to be included. That's all. It's not living space, etc. And from an aesthetic standpoint, I think it adds quite a bit to the house. Let me just for a moment address the style of the house. This house is modeled on a 1880s home in Situate, a home, by the way, which is much, much larger. You know, the cottage style, sort of shingle style home built from about 1880 to the really early 1900s. So it's certainly in keeping with New England architecture. And I've had numerous meetings with Charles, the architect, and the builder to make this house appropriate in size and design to the lot and to Orleans. So I can only do so much. I can't build someone else's house, something that they would prefer in terms of their aesthetic perspective. But I think the house is quite tasteful, and I'm hoping this all gets done. And I think ultimately, sometime a year from now, when it's completed, that it will be an asset to the neighborhood, and my opinion only, I hope it will increase the value of all of the homes in the area. Tasteful, authenticity, accuracy in terms of proportion means a great deal to me. Thank you.
Are there any further comments or questions? Then we'll close the hearing.
Could I ask one question?
Yes.
Would you be willing to postpone construction until September?
Unfortunately not. We've lined up all the contractors because the economy is healthier than it was just a few years ago. They're in great demand. Already the 3 weeks since the last meeting, we've tried to keep them on the ready. That hasn't happened in all cases. And I do feel for the folks next door, whom I like quite a bit in terms of their rental property. But I cleared this lot many months ago. Okay, so they knew construction was imminent, and I hadn't heard from them. But I mean, my wishes is to have everyone get along. I'm sorry this has come up. As the chairman of the committee of the board said, it wouldn't have had I not had this covered pieces of the house. So, frankly, it needs to begin, because it's going to take a fair amount of time to build.
And what time will construction start and stop?
That's perhaps better answered by the builder.
Construction usually starts somewhere around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. If we had a curfew of per se, at a time, we could start, 8 o'clock in the morning and probably end at 4:30.
Thank you.
Very well. Now I'll close the hearing for evidence. Considering and voting on this application will be the following members: Mr. Soderstrom, Mr. McCartney, myself, Mr. Cole, and Mr. Taub, all of whom were present at both hearings. I do understand that Mr. Mulligan did review in the discharge of his obligation and responsibilities with the board, the hearing of April 15th, but Mr. Mulligan is still an associate member. Can I hear from the members of the board as far as their sense? Mr. Todd.
I am looking at the zoning regulations, Chapter 164 for the town of Orleans, which is our Bible, I take it.
Yes, sir.
And in particular to Section 44, which references the special permits. And in relationship to the special permits, it indicates that they may be granted when it has found that the use is in harmony with the intent of the chapter, and then it lists a series of 8 criteria, if you will, that have to be considered when making this determination. And the only one, if I understand what's happening here correctly, the only one that is objectionable or that has drawn objection is number 4, which has to do with the impact on the visual character, including views and vistas. Do I have this right so far? Is that consistent with...
It's your conclusion, and I tend to agree with you. I concur completely, as a matter of fact.
All right. So, in that sense, I feel that we're being asked to vote specifically as it relates to subsection 4 of 164-44.
Yes, sir.
And in relationship to that, I am of the view that from what I've seen and what I've heard, I don't see anything that would be so objectionable that I would be inclined to vote in opposition.
Very well. Mr. Soderstrom?
I think, the issue again is on the impact visually on the neighborhood. And, we have a very large lot, and I like the design of a house. That's a personal thing, and we're not here to look whether I like the house or not. That's not, the purpose, of it. I happen to be a strong property rights person, and I will vote in favor.
Very well. Ms. McCartney?
I like the house, but I think it seems more like it should be on Shore Road in Chatham than on Tonsett Road. I agree with the neighbors. It doesn't fit in with the visual character of the neighborhood, but I'm also strong on property rights, and I can't vote against it.
Ms. Cole?
I think given the large lot size, or given the lot size, and what's before us, staying consistent with past similar cases, I'd be in favor of granting the special permit for the additional lot coverage.
Very well. My sense is to allow the special permit. Mr. Taub correctly states the number of the criteria in Section 44, and none of those criteria are to be considered to the exclusion of others, nor is any single criteria or any combination of the criteria given specific weight, so that there's no adding up arithmetically of any percentages to determine whether a special permit should be granted or not. Mr. Topp does correctly state that there is truly, in consideration here, only one of the criteria. All others seem to have been sufficiently addressed by the evidence or not disputed. We are, as Mr. Soderstrom says, we are not architectural police. We will and are allowed to assess the general acceptability of a proposed structure or a modified structure in terms of aesthetics. To that extent, Mr. McHugh's proposal seems to certainly meet by the evidence that's been produced in the plans, satisfies the board. The board has considered, or is entitled to consider, the actual, the numbers concerning the coverage, and especially in relationship to the porches, which are, in effect, not only a nice thing to have, but also are an architectural element. And without those porches, we wouldn't have had this hearing. I'm satisfied that the work of we may be satisfied that the work of the applicant in considering to a greater degree the buffering in terms of landscaping since the last hearing was sensible and reasonable. We are also entitled to consider the fact that the proposed structure will be nigh on to 350 feet from the Tonsett Road. Therefore, under the circumstances, I have a motion that following public deliberation by the Zoning Board of Appeals, a quorum of qualified members being present and voting, and based on the application of Charles Spiegel for owner Joseph McHugh filed March 15, 2015, and based also on several plans the plans included with the letter dated May 4th, 2015 of Robert J. Freeman. Registered land surveyor, professional land surveyor. The plan entitled Site Plan of Land in Orleans, Massachusetts, prepared for Joseph McHugh, dated May 5th, 2015, drawn by Schofield Brothers of Cape Cod. Based on also the portion of the assessor's map submitted by Judith Whitney Terry with her letter in assistance of the board's consideration, undated, but received on April 15th, 2015. Based also on the several plans originally submitted, several sheets, designed by Charles Spiegel. I move that the board adopt the following findings of fact. The subject property, known as 338 Tonsett Road, Orleans, is shown as parcel 52 on Orleans map 5 and is in a R district. The present use of the property is vacant land. The proposed use of the property is a single-family residential dwelling and a garage connected to the dwelling by a covered walkway. The proposed use will not be detrimental to the established and future character of the neighborhood and will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The construction will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. 6, the site is adequate in terms of size and suitable for the proposed use. Proposed building coverage is 55 square feet on a lot containing 95,767 square feet, which is 5%. The coverage of the first floor of the dwelling, exclusive of porches, is 2,063 square feet. The garage is, proposed garage is 884 square feet. Seven, the proposed use will have no negative impact on traffic flow or safety. Access is over an existing driveway.
Easement.
The easement of which has been shown to be appropriate and granted by records of Barnstable Registry of the Land Court. The proposed use will have no negative impact on the visual character of the neighborhood. The proposed structure is slightly visible from Tonsett Road. 9, the proposed use is isolated from and will have no impact on the method of sewage disposal, source of water, drainage of water resources. 10, utilities and public services will be adequate for the proposed use. Utilities will be underground. 11, noise and litter will not be increased after construction of the proposed use. 12, there will be no adverse impact on groundwater quality and recharge volume and the water quality of coastal and fresh surface water bodies. Concludes the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Now, is there any discussion on the motion?
Number 6 talked about the square footage of the garage, and I just think we should add in the word footprint after garage.
That second, third, fourth sentence of 6 will read, I propose that the proposed garage footprint is 884 square feet.
I think there was a question on number 8, whether the access is by easement or by the panhandle in the way.
Okay. Proposed finding 8 was as follows. The proposed use will have no negative impact on the visual character of the neighborhood. The proposed structure is slightly, excuse me, that would have been 7. 7 dealt with easement. Let me read it. I think that's what you meant. The proposed use will have no negative impact on traffic flow or safety. Access is over an existing driveway, the easement of which has been shown to be appropriate and granted by virtue of Barnstable, by virtue of records at Barnstable Registry of the Land Court. And, well, what else is there?
Is
Is this, right?
the 20?
Yeah, that's part of it.
20.1 part of the
And-
interest in
and-
the property?
And, this is granted,
And the panhandle is vegetated.
yeah.
20.1 frontage on Townsend.
Yes.
And that part of the fee interest in the
So,
property.
together.
And then there's the
They're-
additional easement?
They're of record.
Okay.
I'm satisfied they're of record.
And then just add an additional point that the subject lot was created by plan signed by Orleans Planning Board on July 13th, 1976.
Bear with me. Have added a number 13 as follows. This is by an amendment to the motion. The subject lot was created by Land Court Plan 36832-B, approved by the Orleans Planning Board on July 13, 1976.
By the way, did anybody decide whether it was 4, 5, or 6 bedrooms? That was one of the questions left up last time.
Then we'll have a vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment adding number 13 to the proposed motion?
Mr.
All those
Chairman?
Yes?
Can I just raise a query whether this sentence makes reference to the C plan of the land court, which would be a successor? And would that be the appropriate versus the B plan versus the C plan? C would be the most current?
C would be the most current.
I think the motion carried a basket of all the recorded plans over the land court. And the amendment now deals specifically with the approval by the planning board in 1976, even though there's something subsequent.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
And opposed? The amendment carries. Therefore, number 13 now reads, in the motion, reads, the subject lot was created by Land Court Plan 36832-B, approved by Orleans Planning Board on July 3, 1976. Is there any further discussion on the motion for findings? All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Therefore, based on those findings of fact, I move that the board grant a special permit pursuant to sections 164-21A, Note 5, and 164-44 of the zoning bylaw to run with the land. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Does 164-21A need to be also referenced more generically than Note 5 to cover the pre-existing non-conforming frontage issue?
I didn't... All right. 164-21.
So we note it more specifically Note 5, which is the coverage.
That's the 4,000.
And then do we want to also reference the relief
Okay.
for the frontage?
I withdraw the motion. Based on the findings of fact, I move that the board grant a special permit pursuant to sections 164-21A and 164-21A, Note 5, and 164-44 of the zoning bylaw to run with the land.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. And opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there any further business to come before the meeting?
No, I didn't circulate minutes.
Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And second, all those in favor? Motion to adjourn carries unanimously.
Chairman, I have a housekeeping matter.